Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and across the globe. Welcome to Real Talk Corner. Hadassa, how are you?
Hi, I am fine, thank you. How are you, Esther?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Real Talk Corner, where conversations sparks change and every voice matters. I'm your host, Dr. Esther Cruickshank, and joining me, as always, our beautiful, wonderful co-host, Hadassa Charles McLeod. I trust you all have had a wonderful day on this beautiful Friday evening. It is the 29th day in the month of August in the year 2025. And isn't it real that the time is being shortened for the elect's sake? Yes, it is. And tonight, like I did promise, we were talking about the African community for the month of August, started on Emancipation Day, which was the first, and tonight being the last night that we're going to be focusing on that as we did. Of course, Sunday being the 31st, the call for prayer. We are going to be praying here for 1 hour with you all. So please join us on Sunday. Don't not look and come on and pray. Okay, we want to pray for our nation, for the people of Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday the 31st. But tonight is our finale, and we are going to be talking the things that we want to talk about with respect to the African community and the help that we are seeking by our new government, the United National Congress government that was elected to govern this country. And without further ado, I want to welcome my co-host, Hadassa Charles McLeod. I hope we wouldn't be in a situation like last night where we are sticking a lot. I'm just hoping that. But how was your day, Hadassa?
Hi, Esther. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago. It's good to be back on another episode. And yes, I am hopeful too that everything well with the internet tonight and our connection. Are you guys hearing me so far?
We are hearing you, but in between we're getting a little trigger. So, just ensure that no one can call you and or send you a WhatsApp because it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, but I'm on my laptop, so I shouldn't be having, you know, so many
Let's see.
glitches. But we'll see how it goes. Thanks for asking. I had a lovely day. As usual, I always look forward to Friday because it means that I can sleep in tomorrow. And I hope all our audience is looking forward to the weekend, any Independence Day related activities that they may have planned. How was your week, Esther? How are you doing?
Well, mine was very challenging. Lots to do. I find that this week it flies so fast. The day was never long enough. And then when you get out there, so much traffic on the roadways, you have to be driving for yourself and others. Somehow it seems as though people are just driving crazy. I know it's coming to the end of the month and school is going to be reopening very soon the following week. So people are trying to shop and get around, getting their books for their children and all of that. But please, people, try and be careful. Consider the fact that there are senior citizens driving as well. Stop being so hasty and ignorant. I have seen a lot of that happening, where people have no patience and they're not considering that everybody reflexes may not be as good as yours, especially the younger ones. All right, so look out for our senior citizens, look out for our children as well on the roadways, and let us be calm. Be calm. Don't rush. You can't reach faster than you ought to reach, and you're going to get through. You're going to get there. I know a lot of people with finances trying to hustle to get a dollar to do what they have to do. But listen to me, it's not going to happen faster than it should happen. So let us relax, stay calm, and trust God. Call upon Him to help you to overcome the obstacles. And let us continue to share love, give love, be kind to one another, be nice with each other, whether you are African, Indian, Syrian, Venezuelans, whatever, whoever are here in our country, Trinidad and Tobago, let us show love to one another. Yeah?
Indeed. I mean, I know back to school is always a very busy time. And if it's one thing I hope to see is that whole system revolutionized. I mean, I know parents like to buy new book bags and sneakers for their kids, and that is their prerogative. But I really feel like parents shouldn't have to be buying books every single year. I would really love to see a system where students have access to their books online and things like that. It would eliminate so much paper waste. It would eliminate so much heavy book bags. It would eliminate children and things like that. That would be one change that I would be really open to seeing in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I would say that it is a change that was there. I recall in 2010, 2015, our Honorable Prime Minister was putting that system in place when she gave out the laptops, and then the books were in the school, right? So parents didn't have to go and look for books and spend all this money. You were getting the books in the school, all right? You just had to return them. And of course, I heard that the plan was to do e-books so that it would have been
Yeah,
online so that parents would not have had this situation that they have today. But thanks to the PNM, who just reverse everything, they stop the laptop, they just send them back to buying books, spending a lot of money and all of that. And I really hope that the people of Trinidad and Tobago will open their eyes and their ears and see and hear and know what was done, what has been done under the PNM regime, and what is taking place now. Yes, it may take a little longer
exactly.
to put things in place, but we need to be factual. We need to be real, right? A lot, I listen to a lot of people who supported the PNM. Some of them, they are calling to get help now. And they realized that the PNM had them in bondage. The PNM had them depressed, frustrated. But you know what? They want to cover it up. Well, this government have to do this. This government, yes, we know the government is going to do certain things, but they could choose to do just like what the PNM did. But of course, that is not going to happen because we campaign on the change. We campaign that we're going to be there for the people. I look at ministries, Hadassa, and I am seeing, and I think I mentioned it last night, the people, some of them who are in high position, they are PNM supporters. We saw them campaigning for the PNM for the election gone. However, they managed to manipulate themselves and in high position in ministries. And I am hoping that those things are going to change because the UNC supporters worked very hard and diligent. And they are the ones, we are the ones who are supposed to be in higher position and give them something that is beneath us. Of course, if they're qualified in certain areas, but people are talking about it. I've gotten many calls talking about, the same people who give them so much problems over the last 10 years are now back in position to still give them problems. So the ministers and the MPs and everybody need to be careful, do due diligence and see who are there because listen to me, there is something about people who support and baptize with the PNM. Did a scar change? I don't know what it is. You're doing all the good for them, and at the end of the day, they still go back and support the PNM. But tonight, I am going to say that if the African people are taken care of, I want to believe that they're going to vote back. Those of us who voted for the United National Congress, they're going to. It cannot be the same thing over and expect a different change. The government of now has to do better where the African community is concerned so that they will not run back to say they're voting for the PNM. Because some of them are already saying, it's no different. But I am not perturbed about that. Why? We are now in power. We are now here as government, and they have to wait because the PNM made a mess, a lot of mess of this country resources and everything else. And people like Imbert and all these people have the gall to stand up and talk the foolishness they are talking right now. I just laugh. And I just said to myself, why they don't just, they didn't hear us. Sit down, shut up, listen, learn. Shut up. You all need to shut up and give this government the opportunity to turn around this economy and to do what is right for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They need to do that. And you know, tonight our theme is the truth we must confront as African descendants in Trinidad and Tobago and wake up. There is some truth that must be confronted, and we need to wake up as African citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, at the end of the program, I'm going to do my final speech on that scenario. We started on the 1st of August, where I spoke, and I think it is out there on YouTube, so you all can go and look at it, listen to it, because it is time for us to wake up. It is time for us to understand our worth, understand who we are, not denying the fact that everybody has worth, but we must not come across and be dealt with as though we are nobody. The time for that has come to change. So tonight, let us continue to be strong as a people, not just as an African people, as a people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us support this government and what they are doing. I am not going to put my neck on a block, but I am so certain that by the end of 6 months to a year, the cry is going to be different in this country. Things are going to be different. But I don't like to say it. We were there in this situation for 9+ years. A couple more months, it go kill us. Okay, it will make us stronger. We would understand how to overcome obstacles. If we could stand strong, stand with this government, work with your MPs and the ministers to bring this place to what it's supposed to be, the paradise that we talk about. And of course, we got to put God in everything that we do, trust in Him, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge God. He will direct our path. So that's it for me until I'm ready to read my speech for tonight. Hadassa.
I mean, you you said a lot. Um, I think ideally, I would love to live in a world where human beings are not dependent on a particular government or regime to live. But that is not reality. The reality is that the system and the structure that we find ourselves in is one where we are reliant on the leaders that we select to implement policies that are supposed to improve our lives. Um, and I feel like sometimes people could be so backward in their mentality, right? I feel like two steps forward, one step back is still progress, but it is slow, agonizing progress, as opposed to one government comes in and they run and they make progress, and another government comes in and they run and they make more progress, and yet keep handing the battle over, where over a period of 20, 50 years, you can say that, oh my gosh, we had good governments and we have moved from point A to point B. Unfortunately, that is not what happens to us here in Trinidad and Tobago. And currently, we are reaping the effects of that. You know, Esther was talking about PNM persons who make it really difficult and cause and try to sabotage um, any agendas that the new current administration may have um, because of the position and stuff like that. And again, I would really love to live in a country where there no people can be interviewed, they can be briefed on what the agenda is, and that they sign documents that say that they will adhere to it and they will do everything in their power to make sure that the agenda of the current administration is fulfilled. And if they do not, that that becomes a fireable offense. That is how I would like to see us progress as a nation. But when you have people who are hell bent, um, making sure that you fail so that another regime or another administration looks successful, then that becomes really problematic, you know. And the thing about it is, at the end of the day, the people who suffer are us, the citizens, the voters, the taxpayers. We are the ones who suffer because, for example, with the issue with um, the books and things like that, had that system remained, if the PNM had built on it, right, and they did not create a system where only a few people who make and publish books could make money on the system that the UNC had put in place before, our children would have been in a much better place. Parents would have been in a much better place economically and all the ways that matter. So we need to think about what really are the things that make us progress as a society, because the way that we are going now, it is not, we're not going to get anywhere. And I hate the idea of two steps forward and one back, because it still means that we could be further along on our journey as a country.
Definitely, indeed, and that is so true. I mean, I didn't hear all of your comments because we were having a little problem with the volume. But I hear what you are saying, and you know I have to go back to saying this, and I need to rub it into our ears. The PNM government has brought the African community to North. We have not benefited anything under the PNM government. Nothing. And there are some things that is there that we need to deal with. But I can't deal with it today. You know, we have to do it in stride. And the thing is, we still have, you said it some time ago, Hadassa, the PNM have us where they want us. They have, well, not me, they have the African people where they want them. All right? Just to be looking up to them for what? Because they give them nothing. Anytime you get a relief as African persons, most of the time it is under the other government, which is United National Congress. It was under the then deceased Basdev Pandey, under the Honorable, again, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. When the African people really get something substantial, it is always under another government, and not the government who shows you, make you believe this is a black face party that will meet your needs and that will help you as African community. They have bring the African community to North. This is why a couple weeks ago, when our Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, stated in her Monday night in the speech that it is the PNM government that have allowed the wealth of the African people to go to the 1%. It strikes something in my heart because it is the facts, it is the truth. And many of us, we are dealing with the situation, but has not yet really realized how serious it is that the PNM is not for the African community. They, as a matter of fact, is for the 1%. Therefore, even some Indians will benefit under them. But where the community of the African is concerned, they are not concerned about us. They give us a spoon when we're supposed to be getting a teacup. Okay? And that is how they have treated with us. This is why a lot of us are in the position it is. Some people want to talk about education. A lot of us have been educated. We are educated. I mean, those who could have afforded, many African people are highly educated in this country, have a lot of experience. So when you want to talk about we need to educate ourselves, many of us are educated, and those who are not is because their family have not been financially stable enough to give their children the level of education that they need to have. So you have to fight your way through. I am one example. My parents, we were poor. I wasn't able to get that education from home. But as I grew older and I had the understanding that, listen, without proper education, you are nobody in this country. I did what I had to do. But most people, a lot of us are educated. I am certain, Hadassa, that you yourself would have experienced it firsthand because you said it. You are educated. So when some of our own African people come online to talk about African people need to be educated, please don't insult us because a lot of us are educated. But the people who the PNM would have put in position and whatever, maybe they were not educated. This is why they do all the foolishness that they have done and bring this country down to naught. But you know what? We're going to deal with that under this new government because this new government under the Honorable Prime Minister there is a mandate. We voted, those of the persons who, the citizens who came out from supporting the PNM and supported us is because they gave us a mandate to help them. And there's no two ways about it. If that doesn't happen, I guarantee that they're going to go back to vote PNM again because they're going to say, same monkey pants, we didn't get any help. So this government has a responsibility to help the African community to get on their feet. They might say, well, they don't have to do that. The PNM didn't do it. Well, hello, because the PNM didn't do it, we came and support the United National Congress because they promised that they're going to do these things and they're looking forward. And I'm saying, because I'm hearing the conversations, if the United National Congress government doesn't do different, they're going to go right back and vote for the PNM. And we saw what happened in 2015. So we cannot afford to make that mistake again. All I am saying, put the right people. Don't put the wrong, what do they say, put the wrong peg in the square hole. Don't do that. Find
Wrong
the people or the square in the wrong,
what?
whatever.
Wrong square
Wrong
peg in a
peg in
wrong hole.
square hole, something like that. That is a saying I've heard. I can't remember because, yes, it can't fit in a square hole properly. All right? So, what we need is people who have the agenda of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, especially the African people. We are way behind, and it's no fault of the Indian community. It's no fault of nobody but ourselves. But we need help. We cannot do it without the help of this government that is in power. And I am certain if they do what is supposed to be done for us, we would see the African people staying and supporting the United National Congress Party as government again.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think we need to have to get consensus from the African community as to what help looks like because everybody's idea and perception is very different. So if we can start to have those conversations, because some people might just want more money in their pocket, and that might be in the form of less taxes or more affordable food or whatever it is. And then there are different uh, categories within the community as well. So there, what do the business people want, and what do young people want in terms of jobs and things like that, and what do older people want? Do they need elderly housing and things like that? We need to have these conversations so that we are not painting everybody with a broad brush, and we really get an understanding of what help looks like to the African community. Because I think some people might just really want stability. Home is a big thing that has a lot of people. So if people have the opportunity to own their homes in secure neighborhoods, I'm really happy to hear the Minister of Local Government, Khadijah Amin, talking about empowering communities so that they can help themselves and protect themselves. I think that is so important in the bigger discussion of national security. But if people have homes, they have secure neighborhoods that are safe, where their children could blossom and flourish and play. If their children have access to if you have access to good health care, whatever it is, we need to make sure points are being touched by the government and that there is intention in making sure that those needs are being met, because is wanting literal handouts. Don't want you to just come and put money in their hand. People are looking to improve their standard of living from where So even things like traffic policies and being able to pay things online, just a easier way of life, reflective of where we are doing to move forward, but to have those conversations about what it is that we really need, um, and to bring those conversations to fruition. I think I'm sticking here.
Yes, you're sticking a little bit, and I hear you, and that is very general. We know that there are senior citizens who need certain things, the younger people need certain things, the middle-aged people in business, but I am directly talking about the African community. What do we have in this country as an African community? Do we have a contractor who can pave the road? Do we have any business that we can call our own? Who do we work for? Who do we work for? We work for the Syrians and the Indians. Are there any big establishment that we can say belongs, any corporation belongs to the African community that is hiring the African community? Do we have what you call a credit union, like there was the Hindu credit union, even though, whatever took place with them? You have the Syrians who have so much establishment in this country, and who works for them is the African people, in some cases the Indian people, but we have nothing to say that this belongs to the African community that we could feel proud about. We need a training center. We need to empower our young people who knows nothing of their culture, of the African culture, of the language. Can they speak the language? You hear the Indian people sing their Indian songs, their patran and whatever songs really good. Do we have anything that the African know that we could sing in our language, that we could do anything? No, we don't. We do not have anything to call our own that is really of our culture, of our language. We don't have that in Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what I am referring to, not just generalizing the senior citizens. We know that senior citizens need a lot of help. We know that the children need a lot of help. We know that the autistic children need a lot of help with the parents. There is no school that is there really functioning within the country, probably 2 or 3 schools. If you're living in Central, you have to pay, and you have an autistic child, you have to pay thousands of dollars for that child to go to school. That is not free. On top of that, you have to contribute in whatever they need to use. And that is what I am talking about. There is nothing that the African people can say, this is ours. We heard of things that was happening under the PNM. They made it believe it was African, but it was under the PNM. And what they did, mash it up, mash it up. So we want something to represent the African community, a training center that we teach our young African people who we are, where we came from. The Indian people know where they came from. They can go back and find out where in India their family came from. Do we know that? We don't have access to those things. We don't know. And that is what I am referring to when I talk about we need to have something to call our own as the African community.
I agree, Esther. I was just having some communication with the producer because I'm still having some difficulty on my end.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I remember a couple of weeks ago when we were having the conversations, and I really just want to reiterate what you said about when you look at other communities, that there are certain things that they have. They educate their own children because they have their own schools, they have their own financial systems, and there is a very clear and deep connection to their traditions and their culture. So I want to reiterate with you that we really need to establish those things within our community. We need to have our own schools. We need to have a deep connection to our traditions, to our ancestors, uh, to our culture, and we need a financial system that is within the African community, one that is self feeding and self regenerating in a way that we can support ourselves and others, that we could empower others financially to start business ventures and to become entrepreneurs, and things like that. And I think that that is really important.
Yes, and it will take a UNC government to do that for us because nowhere, would the PNM government do it? They have been here from inception, from since in Dr. Eric Williams' time. Just imagine, we have had train in this country. Any sensible, thinking, educated person leading a country, would they dismantle train? A developing country? Come on. Every time they take away our assets or damage our assets, it's always under the PNM government. Who took away the sugar cane industry? Who devour? Or listen, sometimes it's as though we Africans have no sense. Those who are in power, the things that they do, our Indian government would have never took away the train. I believe that they would have never took away the train. That is something vital to a developing country. You would come and scrap the train. My grandfather was one who worked on the line, and many others. It was African people. And you take away that. Look at Petrotrain. Who come and take it away? It is the PNM again. Everything that made a difference in the African people's life, they would have dismantled it. All right? So I know for a fact that any help the African is going to get to establish themselves and to become, to know who they are and where they come from, it will come from this government that is present. Not the PNM. They will never do it for us. Everything good, all they know to do is mash up and dismantle. Okay, so I mean, we reached that point.
Sorry, you have to wonder what the purpose of that is. Is it short-sightedness, or was it spite? Is it a deliberate effort to make life difficult and hard for certain communities? Is it that you wanted to cut access to the cities or commerce or trade to certain individuals? Because it just does not make any sense that go to such lengths to destroy such good assets to make life difficult for some people. It doesn't make any sense at all. Had we kept and improved on all those assets that we had, the type of country we would have been, we would have been unrivaled in the Caribbean and competing with some first world countries. We would have been on track to be like Singapore, right? But again, it is this idea of tearing down, destroying, mashing up. And it's so sad that we do this to each other as well. It's so
And
sad that
who,
it's not just on a national scale, but we do it to each other as well.
definitely, and who are the people, which communities suffer the most? It is us, the African community, because we have not been able to pull ourselves together. So at this point, you know, the time is flying away, and I know we both have some things that we want to share. So I want to give you that opportunity now, Hadassa, to share your heart with the African community and with the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, the government, so that they can hear us and make some attempt to relieve us of this dungeon, this feeling of not worthy in this country, not because of them, but because of our own who have not seen it fit to help us to rise or to bring us together, but to segregate, put segregation between us. That is what they really have done, so that we are in a space where we don't know what is the next day going to bring for us. So take it home.
Citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, today we close this powerful series of conversations on emancipation in our beloved Trinidad and Tobago. How fitting it is that we do so just days before our nation celebrates 63 years of independence from Britain, a milestone that should remind us of how far we've come, but also how much further we must go. Our anthem proclaims, here every creed and race find an equal place. But for too many of us, the children of Africa, it does not always feel that way. While other ethnic groups in our land have often thrived, our African community continues to wrestle with poverty, crime, fractured families, and a crisis of identity. We must be honest with ourselves. Emancipation gave us legal freedom, independence gave us national freedom, but true liberation, the freedom of the mind and spirit, remains unfinished. For generations, we have carried the weight of a colonial mindset, self hate, division, and the belief that we are somehow less than. Worse still, our own political leadership, headed by those who looked like us, often failed to lift us up. The People's National Movement, despite its historic promise, too often perpetuated neglect and betrayal. This cut is deep because it came from our own, and yet, my brothers and sisters, we cannot stay stuck in that pain. We must shake off the vestiges of slavery and colonialism and walk boldly into a new season of freedom. Freedom that is not only political, but mental, financial, cultural, and spiritual. Look at the example of leaders on the African continent today, like Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, who is charting a path of pride and sovereignty for his people. That same fire, that same determination lives in us. We only need to ignite it. And perhaps it is no coincidence that this year, for the first time in decades, we will not have a government sponsored Independence Day parade. Maybe this is divine timing, a call for us to reflect. For too long, our parades and ceremonies echoed colonial pomp. Perhaps now we must envision new ways of celebrating, ways that reflect us, all of us, African, Indian, Chinese, Syrian, indigenous, and mixed. Celebrations rooted in our music, our food, our carnival, our steel pan, our chutney, and our calypso, the voice of the people. Trinidad and Tobago has always been the cultural beacon of the Caribbean. It is time we reclaim that position, not just in creativity, but in unity and purpose. But let me speak directly to my African brothers and sisters. We cannot win divided. The only way forward is together, in love, responsibility, and shared purpose. We must choose hope over despair, optimism over bitterness, discipline over chaos. We must return to principles of success and community still alive in African traditions. Ubuntu, the philosophy that I am because we are. We must rise now and stake our claim, shaking off the lies and projections that were never ours, but were designed to keep us small, to keep us bound. It is time to take on a new identity, one rooted in the truth of who we are and in the resilience of a people who have endured every storm and still remain. As the old African proverb reminds us, smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. By every metric, we should have given up long ago. Yet here we are, standing, striving, enduring, daring to carve out lives that others said we should never have. Let us remember, all life began with us. We are the originators, the inventors, the creators, the movers and the shakers. There is far more that is good, beautiful, and strong within us than anything that has ever been spoken against us. Today, we have the opportunity to walk in a new image, one propped up by the legacy of those who went before us and committed to leaving behind a future filled with promise and possibility for the generations to come. This is our moment. A new generation is rising. Better days are ahead if we have the courage to believe, to build, and to walk in true freedom. So, as we close this series, let us recommit to each other, let us recommit to Trinidad and Tobago, and let us recommit to a future where every creed and race truly does find an equal place, and where the children of Africa at long last walk tall in the land our ancestors built with blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you, and may God bless our nation. Happy Independence Day.
Such a powerful speech by my co host, and I trust that we have listened and we would take heed, especially our African community. And I would just like to do my piece by saying, let us speak the truth as it is, not as some would like it to be, polished and hidden. Our nation's history is marked by the arrival of different peoples under vastly different circumstances. We, the African descendants of this land, were brought here in chains, robbed and stripped of our names, our culture, language, our land, our heritage. Our forefathers built the sugar estates, they worked on the oil fields, they labored with bare hands and bent back. When slavery ended, they were given nothing but the air in their lungs and the strength in their arms. Left with little more than their resilience and will to survive. They emerged from slavery with no inheritance but their labor. And for many, even that labor was undervalued and underpaid. The Syrians, the Europeans, and later the East Indians immigrants entered a space where Africans had already endured centuries of oppression and had begun building communities, working the land, and carving out a place in society. When the East Indians arrived, they too were uneducated, impoverished, and socially marginalized. History tells us that in those early years, Africans mocked and underestimated them. And yes, in those early days, many of us laughed at them. But here's the truth. They gathered themselves. They came together. They pooled their pennies. They built their shops. They supported their own. While we fought among ourselves as Africans, they formed unity. While we spent to survive, they saved to grow. While we waited for the system to recognize us, they built their own systems. And where we were fragmented, they built unity. Where we failed to pool our resources, they came together, family by family, village by village, creating systems that serve their own progress. Over time, their cooperation, frugality, and community network positioned them to rise economically and politically. Today, they hold significant wealth, businesses, and influence in our nation. For many Africans in Trinidad and Tobago, there is a deep frustration, a sense that our labor is still exploited, our talents still undervalued, our worth measured in small tokens, while the true profits and ownership remain in our hands, in other hands. We watch others benefit from our strength, our creativity, our skills, while too often our own people undermine one another instead of standing together. The tragedy is not only that others have learned how to use our labor for their gain, but that we have not yet learned how to use our collective power for our own gain. This is not about hate. This is about reality. The truth is, until we face where we are mentally, physically, and financially, we will continue to be left behind. We must recognize that no one is coming to save us, and no one will hand us economic freedom. We have to build it. That means pooling our resources, supporting our own businesses, training our young people not just to work jobs, but to own industries. It means choosing unity over ego, trust over betrayal, and vision over short-term gain. Our history is painful, yes, but it is also filled with examples of resilience and greatness. We are the descendants of survivors, builders, warriors. It is time to reclaim that spirit. African brothers and sisters, not by cursing, not by fighting in the streets, but by rebuilding the foundation of our community with discipline, strategy, and unity. This is how we will rise. And here is the bitter pill. They use our labor, but they will never give us ownership. They pay us just enough to keep us coming back, but never enough to build independence in our community. They will give their own 10 million for a job and give us 500,000 for that same job, that same contract, the same work. They place us in positions with the hardest labor, the lowest pay, and then say they are including us. That is not inclusion. That is patronizing. That is calculated. Even now, we have political leaders of Indian descent, and in no way is this about malice or hate, because we also have political leaders of African descent. It is about facts. Look around. See what the African has done for us. And now see what they do, the Indian political leaders, what they do for their own. And see what they do for us. We are not respected in the same way. And here is the sting. We cannot even blame them. We must blame ourselves, my African brothers and sisters. Why? Because we sell out each other. We undercut each other. We do not support each other's businesses. We let envy, ego, and mistrust destroy our strength and unity. The time has come for us to wake up, my brothers and sisters of the African community, not as PNM, not as UNC, not as tools of political parties who use our division to stay in power, but as African people, as a community, as a force. We must take back our dignity, not by cursing in frustration, not by violence on the streets, but by doing what works, pooling our resources, buying from our own, building our own, educating our children, stop the partying, not just for jobs, but for ownership. We must understand this. No one is coming to save us, you know. No one will hand us economic freedom. We must build it with our own hands, our own minds, and our own unity. Our ancestors endured the worst chains, and today we still are in chains. The chains we wear now are invisible, but they are just as real. Chains of disunity, this dependency, and short-sightedness. We need to break them off. How can we do that? We must stand together, work together, rise together, because until we do, others will continue to rise on our backs. And that is not their fault. It is ours. We must break the chains of disunity, dependency, and short-sightedness, I repeat. And here's the question we must face. Are we going to keep blaming the Indians for our condition? Are we going to keep blaming the white man for not giving us a pill to fix what was broken? Are we going to keep mourning that our forefathers worked for free while we do nothing to change our own reality? We still are not getting it, my brothers and sisters. So what do we do in the African community? We need to get up. We need to get it. We need to stand up and we need to move. Stop being lazy. Not as a PNM, not as a UNC, not as tools of political parties who use us to divide us. No one is coming to save us. No one will hand us economic freedom. We must build it with our own hands, our own minds, I repeat, and our own unity. Our ancestors endure the worst. The chains we are wearing are invisible. Remember that. We need to break the chains off And until we stand together, others will continue to rise on our back. And it's not their fault. It is our fault. So with these words, I pray and hope that we would come together. We would stand together. We would realize that what has taken place even years ago when the European went to Africa, it was our own that sell us out and allow them to take us as slaves. Let us relieve ourselves from the bondage that we have so endured, and let us live so that we can surely say we are free at last and we are united together for a better African community in Trinidad and Tobago. May God bless us all. May He bless the Africans to wake up and open their eyes. May He bless all of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and bless our nation. Until next time, we have come to the end of this session. I don't know if my co-host would like to say anything else, but I want to wish every one of you a happy independence, 63 years. Let us put value to those years that we have been here, and let us work together to help one another. And I employ our Honorable Prime Minister at this point that she has the ability and the will and the authority to help the African community build within themselves a community that they will understand who they are, whence we came, and where we are going. Thank you all. May God bless you all again.
Even though the road is long, no matter what come, I know I'm gonna make it. Yes, I'm gonna make it. Even though the road is long, no matter what come, I know I'm gonna make it. Yes, I'm gonna make it.
Remember the days of tossing water, any time that you have to bid. Or when people pass and they see you, oh my Lord, used to feel that shame. Wondering if this lasts forever, wondering when you will feel proud. If it's one thing Daddy didn't tell me, there is sunrise after each cloud. I say, even though the road is long, no matter what come, I know I'm gonna make it. Hey, oh Lord, I'm gonna make it. Even though the road is long, no matter what come, I know I'm gonna make it. Hey,
Yes, I'm gonna make it.
be right here, but I catching the power. Feeling the bass and I catching the power. Don't know what to do, but I catching the power. It's a spiritual feeling, but I catching the power. Tripping on the road, but I catching the power. On the ground and I catching the power. When the music hit me, I catching the power. Even though, in your world people try to fight you, all how they will bring you down. Behind your back they trying to spite you, smiling with you like you're a clown. Yes, you know them people back talk you. Yes, still you always stay cool, but you remain focused and get through. Now all of them feeling like fool. I say, even though the road is long, no matter what come, I know I'm gonna make it. Hey, oh Lord,
Yes, I'm gonna make it.
let them know, even though the road is long, no matter what come, I know I'm gonna
make it.
hey,
Yes, I'm gonna make it.
be right here, but I catching the power. Feeling the bass and I catching the power. Don't know what to do, but I catching the power. It's a spiritual feeling, but I catching the power. Tripping on the road, but I catching the power. On the ground and I catching the power. When the